Chapter 316, Never Perform Unprepared. He actually named his price. Upon hearing the vampire's request, Klein felt both irritated and amused. He looked at the Bishop Otravsky, who was standing in front of him, and asked, "Father, may I borrow your candle? The one that you used last time. I've forgotten what it's called." Before Bishop Otravsky could reply, the vampire in the basement spoke in a stunned voice. "What do you want to do? What do you want to do?" At this moment, Bishop Otravsky answered warmly, "It's called the Mental Terror Candle. What are you borrowing it for?" "Father, you're very cooperative. You even knew to ask." The corners of Klein's mouth curled up. "I plan to use it to directly inquire the deepest part of this friend's heart. As you know, I'm quite talented in this area, and I'm very good at such matters." Before he could finish his sentence, the vampire in the basement had already shouted, "Bastard, give up on your idea. You will be cursed if you do this to a noble sanguine." Hey, I'll speak. I'll tell you the origins of the master key." Klein immediately chuckled. "Thank you for your cooperation. HMPH, the friend of that dirty old man, naturally isn't a good person. As a sanguine, all I did was go to the hospital to steal blood bottles to drink. Why did I end up locked up in here and forced to listen to this naggy, housefly-like Bible of life?" The vampire in the basement angrily complained. "Frankly speaking, if you really are who you claim to be and you bumped into me at most, I would give you a warning. Unfortunately, you got lost and entered this cathedral. The priest you encountered used to kill people wantonly and enjoyed combat, but he's now pious and repentant. You can only blame your poor luck. However, with Bishop Otravsky's recovery, he's unlikely to hurt you. At most, he will keep you to his side." Klein silently responded. The vampire in the basement paused for a few seconds and said, "About a month ago, I went to the hospital in Southborough to steal blood and ended up meeting a thief. He originally wanted to enter the hospital's finance department, but he ended up lost. He opened the door to the blood bank and ended up being caught by me. He was using that master key. He told me that he had found it back when he had burgled a particular house. He had also obtained a pocket watch with inlaid diamonds. In the basement. At first, he thought that the key would correspond to a room or safe. He made several attempts and found that the key could open all doors. This is no doubt an unimaginable surprise for a thief. After that, he enjoyed numerous successes until I caught him and confiscated his key. Damn, I didn't expect that the key would make one get lost back then. It matches the scene I saw with my divination. However, is there a curse on the master key? The previous owner was detained because he got lost, and the owner before that was caught red-handed because he got lost. Perhaps I should really throw it into the space above the gray fog and take it out when I need it. But that will be a lot more troublesome and might cause delays to certain matters." Klein controlled his expression and asked unhurriedly, "Did the thief say where he stole it?" The vampire in the basement mumbled, "Are you doubting my intelligence? How could I not ask about this? He said it was in the area south of the bridge, 48 River Bay Avenue. I was planning to check it out when... Damn it. All right, I'm done answering. Don't disturb me anymore." Klein didn't leave just because he received an answer. Instead, he slowly took out a halfpence copper coin and recited softly, "He's lying." After repeating it 7 times, Klein's eyes turned dark and he flicked the coin up. He watched it spin in the air before it landed in the palm of his hand. It was heads, indicating a positive response. In other words, the vampire was lying. The thief's description coincides greatly with what I had seen through divination, so they confirm each other. The vampire must have lied about the exact address. Klein looked at Bishop Otravsky and said with a chuckle, "He lied. Let me think about the reason why he lied. It would be very unwise of him to vent his anger and seek revenge on me, who is completely uninvolved. It would also be very detrimental to his situation. So, I think he's actually using this method to call for help. That address might very well belong to a companion of his. Father, do you plan on paying a visit?" The basement suddenly fell silent. After a few seconds, the vampire laughed and said, "I just didn't want to tell you that easily. You threatened me just now, so I lied to take revenge on you. Isn't that normal? I can hear how forceful you are at trying to calm yourself down." Klein smiled and said, Then, what's the real answer? If you continue lying, I don't mind sending this address to the 3 churches. I'll just say that it has something to do with the recent serial murders. Humans are really vicious. The vampire sighed through gritted teeth. The area south of the bridge, 32 Verde Street. Klein tossed the coin again and got the result that the vampire wasn't lying. It seems like vampires don't have the ability to interfere with divination. I should confirm it above the gray fog when I'm back. Klein pressed his hand to his chest, faced the heavy stone door, and bowed. Thank you for your cooperation. HMPH, the vampire in the basement snappily replied. As Klein turned to leave, the vampire suddenly shouted, Remember that my name is Emlyn White. Remember, my name is Emlyn White. Why do I have to remember your name? It's not like I'm going to save you. Without preparation, and without a home-ground advantage, I'm no match for Father Atravsky, and he has the mystical item to transfuse blood. Could it be that this vampire's companion will offer a bounty, and he wishes for me to sell this information? Klein was surprised for a moment before he walked out of the Harvest Church without a word. After finding a secluded place, he undid the spirit pendulum wound around his left wrist and started to divine if he should visit 32 Verde Street at that very moment. The answer he got was that there was some danger, but it wasn't too high. There is certain danger. Where's the danger? What kind of danger would it be? Klein carefully analyzed the situation, suspecting that the apprentice who died from losing control had turned into a ghost-type monster due to its intense grievance. Furthermore, it was a relatively strong one at that. That's not right. That thief clearly came out with the master key without encountering any trouble. Could it be that the danger is in another secret location in the house? Klein thought for a moment and decided that it would be best for him to go only when he was sufficiently prepared. It prevented him from entering a situation in which he encountered an enemy whom he was unable to deal with his present beyonder powers. At the very least, I'll have to wait until I buy bullets that can purify wraith shadows. He nodded slightly. After this consideration, combined with his previous battle with Dawn Paladin Bishop Atravsky, Klein suddenly felt that he could vaguely conclude the first principle of a magician: never perform unprepared. Doing otherwise would result in a high chance of messing up. Klein added silently. On Tuesday morning, after preparing butter and toasting 2 slices of bread, Klein was in no hurry to eat. He opened the door and retrieved the day's newspaper from the mailbox. There's a letter. He pulled the letter out from the newspaper and glanced at the envelope as he returned to the dining room. It's from Stuart. It appears that he has already completed his preliminary investigations. Klein nodded slightly, tore open the envelope, shook the piece of paper, and sat down at the dining table as he read it. Stuart claimed that the 2 suspects had shown no signs of abnormal behavior. One of them entrenched himself at the grocery store and guarded his wife and children, living a lifeless life, while the other was busy with various temporary jobs and working hard to maintain his life. They were not irritable, nor did they have the urge to fight. They also didn't lock themselves up in a room. At the end of the letter, Stuart lamented the harsh situation in Eastborough and vowed to save enough money to avoid being reduced to staying there when he was old. Thank you for your help. I will share my findings with the rest of you if there are any other clues. Klein replied to the letter simply when he saw how Stuart had no signs of being discovered. He didn't want Stuart to delve deeper into the case, or else the devil might detect the danger and kill any latent dangers in advance. Putting away his pen and paper, Klein picked up a piece of bread that had already been soaked in butter and leisurely spent his breakfast with a cup of black tea and the newspaper. During this process, he felt rather regretful that there were no signs that the Beyonder gathering organized by old Mr. Eye of Wisdom would be held. The existence of this devil has seriously affected the lives of the Backland Beyonders. I hope Mr. Isengard Stanton is able to notice my hint and be fruitful. Yes, he should be a recognized Beyonder by the officials. Klein put down the newspaper and picked up a napkin to wipe his mouth before he packed up to leave. His plan today had been already decided last week. He was to visit the Royal Museum for the Emperor Roselle Memorial Exhibition. In Empressborough, the opulent villa of Earl Hall. Audrey was wearing a light lace dress and donned snow-white fur as she waited for her personal maidservant, Anne, to help her put on a soft hat with pearls and a thin fishnet veil. Beside her, Susie sat there with a bow tied around her neck. "My beautiful little princess, where do you plan on going?" Earl Hall asked, stroking his fine mustache as he descended the stairs. Audrey's eyes replied with bright eyes. "Father, I plan to attend the Roselle Memorial Exhibition. I can take a look at the original diary of Emperor Roselle and find a chance to get some for Mr. Fool." She added in her mind. Earl Hall muttered to himself, "Why are you going today? There will be a lot of people, and the scene will be very chaotic. Yes, I'll get someone to coordinate with the Church of the God of Steam and Machinery. After the official exhibition is over, they'll open its doors specially for you and your friends for half a day. That way, you can have a quiet and undisturbed tour. If you have anything you wish to look at closely, you can discuss it with them directly. In the case, that seems even better. I can directly look through the diaries in this exhibition." Audrey lifted her skirt and curtsied. "Thank you, handsome Earl Hall Tilda."